Okay, so today we are going to import a real-time radiography weld and do a little bit of pre-processing to get it ready for automated analysis. Okay, so let's start by getting our InspectionWare desktop ready. I'm going to get the properties window. I'm going to turn off the relationships, so that thing in the bottom we're not going to be needing, I don't think. And I'm going to dock it over on the left here. So next, a couple of data viewers. 1, 2. I'm going to put them on top of each other, make a bit more space. And here we go. Okay, so now we're started. Let's go into the data manager, double click to go in, right click, select add, and we've got a data set. We go up here to the toolbox, type TIFF. That gives us our TIFF file converter. The data set drops on that. So we click on the TIFF file converter, we get the properties here. I'm going to flip a couple over. This one I want true. I want my axis in pixels. This one I don't want true, so I put that false. My file is crtr weld.tiff. Then I go over to the converter, right click, and select the import task. Okay, so we click on the data set here. Starting to look like we have something, but it's going the wrong way, so we need to do right click, view, horizontal. And I'll do it on both windows. You notice here that this one is unpinned, so it's following. I'm going to leave this one pinned on the root so we can have that, and this will be our window to follow the processing. Okay, so let's get started on the data processing. We are going to add a bunch of data processors and then we'll set them up. So we'll start with the Decimate 1D. And then we will do an invert. Remove DC offset. Normalize A scan. Put everything out just, and then we'll set them out. Peak analysis and curve fit. Okay, here we go. So let's start setting them up. Okay, so we want to decimate our weld. I'm going to put 72, which I think is about an inch. And the decimation type is, I'm going to use median. And I know it's really not a decimation, but it'll reduce our points by 72. Now I'm going to press F5, and that doesn't look very right. It doesn't look like what we'd expect. And the reason is because we're decimating along the first axis, which because we rotated is up and down, so we're just going to change this property to second axis, F5 to execute, and we've got a decimated scan. I'm inverting it because a weld normally goes negative over the weld, and I want it to be positive. I'm going to just go up here and flip my palette to grayscale. So I clicked on the palette, right click, and grayscale. That's a more standard X-ray palette. Okay, so remove DC offset. We want these outline parent materials to be the baseline, and because we've inverted it, they're going to be the minima. So this one, I'm going to say on my remove DC offset, remove the minima. And my normalize A scan, you can see these little exclamation marks, meaning they haven't been run. So if I'm just over here, I can do execute and they run. And we've got our normalized A scan, so it's pointing up, the weld is positive, and every line, because we've done the normalize, is, if we click here, every line is 80%. So that's what we have now. And then you can see the peak analysis. You can see that it's sort of picking the center of the weld at about 300 pixels, and that looks about right. The low is, is between 200 and 300, and the high is between 400 and 500. Okay, so now we're going to curve fit this. This is put straight line through it. It's a first order polynomial, so straight line. So let's crank it up to a fourth order polynomial, and we'll just F5 to run that, and we get this curve here, and you can use this tool to walk through the various things. Okay, so next I want to see, so we've got sort of outlines of the weld. I want to draw them back on here. So I'm going to go here and type draw in the toolbox, draw 1D data, that goes on here. And we put the curve fit, we freshen it up, and you see you've got this drawing tool here. So parent to drawn is data set, and what that means is I'm going to look up the tree until I hit something called data set, and that's where I'm going to draw. The outputs to draw, this is zero based, and I want to draw center, low, high. So that's going to be 1, 3, 3, 4. I'm going to make it red. And I think that's everything, so just see if that works. Execute processor, and we've got our outlines of the weld. Now this one's coming in a bit shy, so I know what that is. That is because I did a 6 dB level on that. I'm going to knock it down to 12. Press F5 here. Oh, maybe I need to run it from up here, and that looks pretty good. Okay. So next step, we want to align the weld to that center. So align to reference. So we're going to put that right back on the root. And we're going to say, okay, align to the center. We'll put that on a reference, and it goes, boom, I'm not happy. So we hover over here. Let's just do a compile. And it says reference axis must have 9,758 points, but we've decimated, so this one is only 135 points. So here's what we do about that. We go define output axis, and the axis length here we do equals, and this is a bit of a trick, but watch it, root, so underscore underscore root underscore data underscore underscore data scan axis points. See if I got that right. It looks like it's green, and you can see we go up to the root and we scroll down here, and this is what it's finding, this 9758. So let's just execute the whole thing again, and we're in business. So I'm going to click on this one, and you see it's aligned, but it doesn't look quite right, so we need to fiddle the properties. So offset to center, I click that. I'm going to refresh it with an F5, and then you can see there's these funny bits at the top and the bottom, and that's where the original data's gone off screen, and we have this property set out of bounds to undefined. We don't want it, we just want it to do the last point there. Run it again. That looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm happy with that, but it'd be nice to see the outline of the weld. So I'm just going to take this whole tree, drag it down. Oh, we need to lock this data set there, because it'll tell us when our drop is not to connect reference data, it's to add the tree. So we do that. We do control so that it doesn't add. Just going to close this off. We don't want to curve fit anymore, and so we need to do the Draw 1D, so draw 1D goes on peak analysis this time. Peak analysis here. Let's make this one, say, green. And I think I'm just going to show the low-high, so 3, 4. And parents to draw on, we want to do it align to reference. Align to reference. And let's just run this whole thing from here. And we'll click there, and looks good. So there we've got, so this is, where we are here is we've got a 0 line through the middle, so we know if we're at 0, we're in the middle of the line. Plus or minus is either side of the center, and we've got this nice outline of the weld, so we have our boundaries here. Okay, so we're just going to finish by saving this off. I'm going to move this thing up, so I click on it, and then I can control up arrow moves it. And we're going to do an aggregate data, and we're going to say I want align to reference, and I want low, and I want high. I'm just going to tidy this up. Again, we lock this on saying we're finished adding to it, and it starts receiving nodes, and I'm just going to tidy these up. I'm going to do the names here as, what should we call this? Just weld is good. Weld low high, that'll be good enough. Low. High. Okay, there we go. I'm going to do one more thing. I'm just going to do a copy data because that will give me a copy of that data. The aggregate is just a pass-through. It's just reflecting data out of the other thing. This makes a copy so that it's in good shape to save. I'm going to do File, Save As, and RTR, and I'm going to overwrite that one, and press Save. And I think we're good. Now we have this. We'll go back to We'll go back to this one here. You can see our weld is aligned. It's at center, and we know its limits. So we're ready to go to the next step. Okay, that's all for now.